Hello again my friends, the Warmind expansion will introduce some seriously meaty buffs to Destiny 2's exotic weapons. Buffs that will drastically enhance the way you deal damage to your foes. And the crazy thing is, these buffs are ready to go as soon as your finger pulls that trigger. Once you turn your exotic into a Masterwork however, it gets even better. Multi-kills generate orbs, the stat counter tracks the number of enemies you've obliterated. Plus, you have the option to add yet another bonus enhancement to your weapon by completing a special objective. In the past, you've slain gods. Now it's time to feel like one.
Catch a star if you can. Wish for something special. Let it be me. My love is free.
Yeah, alright, let's get on with the effing video. Kurt Angle, play that shit, fam. Like I said, many of Destiny's exotic weapons are getting buffed. Let's have a look at 11 tasty examples. Starting with a tractor cannon, this exotic shotty is transforming into a beast. Enemies hit with this weapon now become far more vulnerable to any void damage for 10 seconds. And as you can see here, this strike boss is taking a void beatdown. A Nova Bomb followed by a void sidearm utterly melts this fool. And that's not all, this shotty also suppresses targets, so yes, you can knock crucible foes out of their supers, which is going to lead to some very clutch plays like you see here. And a suppressed enemy won't be able to jump back to safety, so say goodbye, chump. Next up, we have the exotic auto rifle Hardlight. You can now change the elemental damage type on the fly. Holding reload will cycle through solar, arc and void. Think of this weapon as 3 for the price of 1, which isn't a bad deal if you ask me. And get this, bullets that bounce off walls will now do double the damage. If you're a corner croucher, this weapon could well smoke you out from your filthy little hole. You should be ashamed of yourself. Next up, the exotic sniper rifle Borealis. Like Hardlight, this weapon can cycle through all elemental damage types if you hold down reload. But that's old news, so what's new? Well, if you take out an enemy shield with a matching damage type, for example breaking a void shield with a crispy void snipe, you'll then deal double damage until your next reload. And this applies in PvP too, specifically to foes who pop to super. So if you take out a Dawnblade shield with a solar snipe, you can then one-hit body shot other crucible enemies. Double damage sniper rounds until you reload or die. Ouch. But don't get too cocky. Apparently, this is really hard to pull off in the crucible. You'll need to be in the right place at the right time, but if you do hit that miracle shot, you'll feel like a PvP god. Put that in your montage and smoke it. Next up, exotic pulse rifle Graviton Lance. Kills with this weapon cause enemies to explode. Well, this explosion has been buffed to make it bigger, inflict more damage and send out projectiles that home in on nearby enemies. And to make it a viable PvP weapon, recoil has been reduced and aim assist increased. Next up, exotic scout rifle Skyburner Zove. This thing now deals explosive rounds. Nothing has changed while aiming down sights. It's still full auto, slow firing, high impact. But while firing from the hip, this weapon now lobs slow firing projectiles. Kind of like a rapid fire grenade launcher, but with the added bonus that projectiles track targets and explode on impact. It's like 2 weapons in one, a precision death dealer while aiming down sights and a rapid firing grenade launcher that tracks enemies while firing from the hip. Next up, exotic sidearm Rat King. Now the Rat Pack perk, which increases the weapon's damage output, used to only activate when nearby allies had it equipped and in hand. Well, now this perk will trigger even if your allies have the weapon stowed, as long as they have it equipped in their kinetic slot. And if you only have a small group of pals, that's okay, because this perk has been buffed to feel way more powerful even if only you and 2 others are running Rat King. Plus, this sidearm is now full auto for maximum DPS, and get this, the Vermin perk, which grants a brief period of invisibility if you reload immediately after a kill, has been increased to 7 seconds. Next up, exotic hand cannon Sturm. Now this exotic comes to life when paired with legendary sidearm Drang, because getting a kill with Drang automatically reloads Sturm and more importantly activates a buff called Sturm Overcharge. This means that if you swap to Sturm after getting a kill with Drang, you can 2-shot an enemy. In the right hands, this is a lethal combination. Next up, exotic submachine gun Risk Runner. The arc conductor perk now works in PvP, so when taking arc damage in the crucible, the weapon becomes more powerful and you only take half damage from arc sources. For PvE, the arc conductor perk remains active even when the weapon is stowed, as long as it's equipped in your energy slot. For PvP, you only get arc damage resistance when the weapon is in your hands. Next up, exotic auto rifle Sweet sweet business which has been given a massive increase in ammo reserves. Now this Titan is wearing the exotic chest piece Axiom War Rig, which reloads 10% of the equipped auto rifle's magazine every 3 seconds, which is why this thing is going mental. And here's another example of just how long this newly buffed exotic can fire without reloading, thanks to the massive increase in ammo reserves and a little help from the Warlock's exotic Lunification boots, which creates a rift that automatically reloads the weapon of any ally standing in it. This is seriously mental. I mean, just look at it. Bullets for days, fam. Who needs a fire team when you're a goddamn one-man army? So yeah, get the most out of sweet business by combining it with Axiom War Rig and Lunification boots. Exotic combos for the win. Good day, sir. Next up, exotic grenade launcher Fighting Lion, which according to Bungie is now a bit of a beast. This weapon now has more ammo and increased detonation damage, making it a more reliable PvP killer. Can't wait to try it out. And our final example is exotic hand cannon Crimson. Now Bungie wanted this weapon to be able to compete with aggressive hand cannons in the Crucible, so it gave the weapon more ammo, sped up the time between bursts, and decreased the time to kill. And don't forget, once a fully upgraded Masterwork, this weapon will also have max range. So yeah, like I said, every exotic weapon getting buffed will be ready to go as soon as the Warmind expansion goes live May 8th. But let's not forget about exotic Masterworks. Now when the Warmind expansion drops, each exotic weapon will have a new exotic catalyst slot. Filling this slot will transform your exotic into a Masterwork exotic. Now to acquire an exotic catalyst, you'll need to grind a specific activity for each weapon. As you can see here, when inspecting this slot, you'll find a hint as to what kind of activity that will be. The Risk Runner catalyst can be found in strikes against the most challenging opponents. The Huckleberry catalyst can be found through heroism in the most challenging adventures, and the Cold Heart catalyst again can be found in strikes. It's worth bearing in mind that some exotic catalysts will drop after you've spent a certain amount of time in a required activity, while others will drop at random. Bungie's being purposely vague about how exactly you'll get exotic catalysts to drop because they want this to be something you figure out while playing the game. It's going to be cool to see the community coming together to figure out how to acquire every single exotic catalyst. So what happens when you finally get your hands on one? Well, once acquired, the catalyst can be immediately applied to your weapon. Your exotic will now generate orbs on double kills and track the number of enemies defeated, just like your current legendary Masterwork weapons do. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. Once you've applied the catalyst, you'll see an additional objective that you'll need to complete to fully upgrade your Masterwork exotic. For Cold Heart, you'll need to defeat a certain number of enemies using that specific weapon. Now once this has been completed, you'll add a bonus stat or perk to your exotic. For example, completing the objective for the Vigilance Wing exotic Masterwork will give that pulse rifle full auto firing, and completing the objective for the Crimson exotic Masterwork will give that hand cannon max range. Now some exotic Masterwork objectives will require one step, while others will have multiple steps. These objectives will vary in difficulty and length, but will not be determined by RNG. Think of each Masterwork objective as a mini exotic quest, some of which are gonna be very hard indeed. So here's a quick summary. Every single exotic weapon will now have an exotic catalyst to chase. Once acquired, you'll then kick off a unique exotic mini quest that's tied to that specific weapon. Once completed, it will add a significant new stat or perk, and once your weapon becomes a fully upgraded exotic Masterwork, every exotic duplicate that follows will also be a maxed out Masterwork. It's worth bearing in mind that not all exotic Masterworks will be available when Season 3 begins, some will come at a later date, so let the effing grind commence. And here's a few more useful things to know about exotic catalysts. You'll need to own the exotic weapon before you can start searching for the catalyst. If you don't have the exotic, the catalyst won't drop. If you own the exotic, you don't need it equipped or even on your character for it to drop, so yeah, happy hunting, Guardians. Now let's delve into some news. Bungie released a Warmind blog post with some very interesting details indeed. Let's have a look at them. First up, we got our first look at an official screenshot for the new raid layer Spire of Stars. We also get a launch date, Friday, May 11th, 10 AM Pacific time. That's only 3 days after the expansion itself goes live. It's worth noting too that not only is the max power level increasing to 385, so too is your base level from 25 to 30. And check it out, our first look at all the seasonal Crucible ranking emblems that mark your progress in PvP. The top row shows your Valor ranks, the bottom row shows your Glory ranks, and from left to right, the ranks are as follows: Brave, Heroic, Fabled, Mythic, Legend. And here's what it looks like when you level up your Glory rank to Fabled. Nice! The sweaty bastard. Now, if you want a full detailed breakdown of how seasonal Crucible ranks work and how you can get your hands on the pulse rifle you see here, Redrix's Claymore, stick around until the end of the video. Next up, a cheeky sneak peek at the new Crucible maps, Meltdown and Solitude, and a reminder that private matches will also be available when Warmind drops, and oh my, look at this new exotic ornament for the Vigilance wing. 'Tis a thing of beauty and no mistake. I'm gonna masterwork that biatch, turn it full auto, pop on this tasty skin, and cry with joy. Now guys, check out Bungie's latest video that details some of the cool shit available to all players when the next game update goes live May 8th, and we'll speak again at the end of the video. Enjoy!
So in 1.2.0 we're refreshing a bunch of the weapon exotics. We're making them significantly deadlier and more interesting and powerful. We're adding Masterworks to all of them. The way that Masterworks will work for exotic weapons is unlike legendaries, which allow you to increase a stat and then reroll to get the stat that you're desiring. Exotic Masterworks are hand-built to be awesome for the exotic that they've been chosen for. And so once you get a Masterworked version of an exotic, that is the one true Masterworked version of that exotic weapon. And it can be anything from some crazy stat bump to some behavioral change, and they're really, really good.
I think Vigilance Wing was like a good preview into what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
The hot 0.8 time to kill that we're not nerfing.
Right. No,
we're
not nerfing.
embracing that.
Yeah.
We're gonna spread that love around.
Yep. And so yeah, we're gonna see a lot more weapons that are capable of pulling off shenanigans the way that Vigilance Wing currently is.
And me personally, I'm super excited for Tractor Cannon. We added suppression to it, which means you're gonna be able to bait supers or players into the ultimate death trap, and it's going to be hilarious. And it's already hilarious.
If you think hurling people off the map is fun, wait till you hurl them out of their super against the wall.
And you hurl them out of the map and they can't jump.
They just plummet. Yeah, it's pretty glorious. And then Crucible has all sorts of stuff coming.
Ton of changes coming to Crucible in Season 3. The two big ticket items that I think everyone's excited for are seasonal Crucible ranks and private matches. I am super excited for private matches for a number of reasons, but my personal bias is it enables tournaments. It enables people to organize to make their own tournaments, and you get to foster this community that strictly exists to showcase skill, to showcase mastery, and I love watching that. I used to watch all the D1 tournaments all the time, and I'm super excited to see those return. People have been asking for Crucible ranks specifically for a long time, and we've definitely heard the feedback, and we finally found a good place, a good home for it with Season 3. Especially with Crucible ranks, we needed a reward that was going to motivate people, that was going to push people to grind through the glory ranks, and we worked very closely together to craft a very unique gun. It's called Redrix's Claymore, and I think when players see that, when they get their hands on it, they're going to realize immediately that, holy
it's pretty good.
I need to get this gun.
We're gonna keep listening, keep talking, keep making changes, I'm sure we'll make a change and people are like, we don't love this, right?
And they'll let us know.
And they'll tell us.
They'll tell us.
We'll make another change, and hopefully this one is much better.
And honestly, give us feedback on the formats we're choosing, give us feedback on the streams, the YouTube video. If you like this, let us know. We'll do more of them, for sure. Let's keep the conversation rolling.
Yeah.
We'll come back on the TWAB, we'll come back on streams, just give us that feedback. Let us know what you want to see and how you want to keep talking.
And that, my dear friends, brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Will you bless Papa Console with 10,000 tiny gestures of goodwill and compassion to your fellow human being? I effing well hope so, you cheeky little scamps. Thank you so much. And guys, if you want to watch a video in which I detail 10 pretty cool Warmind facts, including a breakdown of seasonal Crucible rankings, click right here. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for heaps more Destiny 2 content, and thank you so much for watching. And as always, her TTFing he. Until next time, Guardians.